Hello, this is Spartan Commander, and this is our 300th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that we've put onto YouTube. I think when we first started this channel, we probably never guessed we'd get to 300 battles, but here we are. So for our 300th, I wanted to try and find a battle that would be, a little bit memorable, maybe a little bit different. I've got a battle from about 8 years ago that I was thinking about putting on, but to be honest with you, if you haven't played RTW for more than 4 years, you probably wouldn't know most of the players in the battle. So I found this battle, which I think is quite an intense, close battle, and hopefully maybe a memorable one that when you think about a good battle, you might think of this one and think, well, that was the Brotherhood's 300th. So as I say, this is a close, intense battle, and you might notice that this hasn't been fought on the usual flat, featureless map. This has been fought on the Germanic forest map. I like this map, as we said before, because it's got big, wide open plains, but you've also got woods as well. So if you want to bring a barbarian faction to get the woods and winter bonus, you can. Okay, our first teammate is Brotherhood member Uther, who has bought the Rome Brutii faction. I'd just like to draw your attention here to one particular unit that you don't see very often, and that is a peasant unit, 120-man peasant unit. Now these guys, on my guesses, Uther's going to incorporate this unit into his Piler Shield unit. Now remember, like we said before, they might be a unit, but if they stand their ground, they'll soak up pilers as much as a more dearer unit. Let's have a look at Uther's cavalry. Can you see that Uther's got 8 upgrades on his cavalry? So that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So that's very serious cavalry he's got there. Let's say, I think if I remember right, he's got 6 cavalry, and I think he's got something like 12 infantry, including that peasant unit, if I remember correctly. Our next teammate is Brotherhood member JGP, who has bought the Rome SPQR faction. And then our next teammate is Brotherhood member Legion 22, who has bought his faction of choice, which is Macedon. And I think he's got 10 units of pikes there. I just want to say, I know newer players for RTW like to see our army builds. And if you notice here, can you see he's got 8 upgrades on those pikes? So that's 2 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. But here's something I want to draw your attention to. Can you see that he's got Cretan archers with 7 upgrades? That's an experience stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And that is a heck of a lot of archers there, because each one of those units is going to cost him 1,240 denarii. So with 5 units of archers there, that's going to cost him 6,200 denarii for those archers. So that's a lot of money, and it'll be interesting to see if the archers are worth that money during the course of the battle. As I say, for those 5 archer units with 7 upgrades on each, that's 6,200 denarii. I see he's got 5 cavalry as well. Now we move to my old army. As I say, this old army of mine's got 12 infantry, 6 cavalry. I made this army up approximately 8 years ago, and I've been using it again for the last 3 or 4 months, 5 months maybe. And even though it's a very old army, it still does me good on the battlefield, and I still enjoy playing with this army, and it still seems to pull its weight. So there's our team. Wait till you see the other team. It should be a great one for you to watch. Okay, at this stage of the battle, I thought we'd have a look at Uther's formation here. And as we thought, can you see how he's got that peasant unit as part of his Piler Shield unit there? So he's got 3 urban cohorts as Piler Shield unit plus that peasant unit there. So that's a pretty good Piler Shield. But if you notice, he's got his general at the front of his main battle formation, where usually you put the general at the back. So that's quite an unusual place to put the general. And I think quite an unusual formation there for newer players to look at. But as I say, that peasant unit has soak up enemy pilers as good as any other expensive unit, so that's quite good. As you can see earlier, as we saw earlier there, he's got 6 cavalry with 8 upgrades on each of those units. So it's kind of super cavalry and quite an interesting infantry formation there. Now what I wanted to also draw your attention to here, can you see that JGP has deployed right on his front line there? So that goes to show to me that he's going to be extremely aggressive and attacking right from the off there. And of course, if he attacks and is aggressive, then obviously Legion's going to follow him in. So both of these two are going to be very aggressive. Now if you notice that I've started my army at the back there, because what I'm thinking is JGP and Legion go in, the enemy armies there could see me as maybe an isolation target and may try to race out to get me. So I think if I've started that far back, hopefully I'll give them a wide angle there for them not to be able to get to me. So it'll be interesting to see if the enemy on that flank does try and attack me straight off from the front of the game. And here is the other team. We have RTW player Lee. A lot of you will know Lee, a very good RTW player. And once again, we'll have a look at some army builds here, because as I say, I know newer players like to look at our builds. Can you see here straight away he's got 5 archer units. Now he's bought 5 archer units because this team's obviously facing our Macedon ally, and they're looking to cause a lot of casualties there. Now we'll have a look at his army build here. Now can you see his forward infantry units have just got 6 upgrades on, so that's gold shield, gold attack. So the first 4 units of his battle line have just got that. But now let's have a look at his units behind. Can you see 9 upgrades? Fully upgraded urban cohorts. So his first battle line is gold, and his second battle line is fully upgraded urban cohorts. Now you know how elite these urban cohort units are, so to fully upgrade them makes them like kind of super units. And also his general is also fully upgraded as well. So as I say, his first 4 are only gold, but his 5 infantry units behind that first battle line are all fully upgraded. And then he's got 3 units of cavalry, which I noticed were just gold on those. So that's a really unusual army there. And with fully upgraded urban cohorts there, that really could make a difference with that army. An unusual army build, and newer players watching this battle, I hope you found that unusual as well. Okay, our second teammate is Titan's Sparky. A lot of you know Sparky, once again a very good RTW player, but if you notice here he's got the bog standard, what we call the bog standard 31k Roman army. That's 14 infantry and 6 cavalry, and as I say, that is a bog standard 31k army, and it's a really good army, solid. You've got the flexibility of 6 cavalry, let's say, with 14 infantry. That's so new players to Rome Total 1, you play 31k. That, as I say, it's a usual standard army, 14 infantry, 6 cavalry. Okay, their next teammate is Wolves Doefather. Now, a lot of you might not have seen any Wolves players on RTW lately, but maybe 4 or 5 years ago and on past there, the Wolves was a mighty clan, full of really good 31k players. You don't often see them on the battlefield now. Now, if you notice here, can you see that Doefather has bought 16 infantry units? 16 infantry units, okay, and if you notice, he's got an eagle unit and his general unit there for extra morale. But did you know that those 16 units, I see he's got 2 cavalry as well. If you notice, both those cavalry are fully upgraded. But with those 16 infantry units, remember, each infantryman can throw 3 pilers. So that 16 infantry units there equates to 3,936 pilers. So you imagine that 3,936 pilers there can be thrown by those infantrymen. Of course, a lot of them won't cause kills, but as I say, with 16 infantry, 3,936 is a lot of pilers. Okay, their 4th teammate is a player that's called himself Wetback, but is actually a Scorpion King SR, and he has bought the Rome Giulio faction. Another interesting army build here for newer players. Can you see that he's got 6 archers? But let's look at the upgrades on those archers. 7 upgrades. So that's an experienced stripe, gold shield, gold attack. So those are serious archers there. And Scorpion King knows how to use archers very well. And it'll be interesting to see how they do during the course of the battle. Let's have a look at his infantry. Can you see he's got an eagle unit there? And also, can you see his infantry have got 7 upgrades. So that's gold shield, gold attack, and an experienced stripe. And just to draw your attention to his general, who is fully upgraded. So that's 9 upgrades. That's 3 experienced stripes, gold shield, gold attack. So fully upgraded general. And I see he's got 6 cavalry, but just with gold shield, gold attack on, if you notice. So that's a pretty good army there. And as I say, I've got a feeling that him, because my two allies are being aggressive over there, I think I could be targeted here. I think these two here, Dove Father and Scorpion King, would like to isolate me if they could. That's why I set up so far back, so hopefully they won't be able to get me before I get to my allies. Okay, as we said straight off at the beginning of the game here, can you see that JGP is advancing towards the enemy team, and you can see that Legion 22 with his Mastodon army are moving forward as well. Maybe they're looking to cut off Sparky here from his allies and maybe try and isolate him and hit him hard there. But like I said earlier, can you see I'm moving my army across? But can you see both Scorpion King with his Julia army and Dove Father here with his Scipio army? We're really running as fast as they can, trying to intercept my army before I can get to my allies. So as I say, that's why I set so far back there, to try and avoid that happening to my army. Well, if you notice here, Sparky is now probably noticing that he's up against two armies, and it wouldn't surprise me if he started to back off a little bit, because obviously he doesn't want to take on two of them. Let's just pause the game for a second. Right, as I said, both Dove Father and Scorpion King with their infantry and cavalry are trying to intercept my army before I can get to my allies, as we thought they might do. You can see here that the Macedon general is bringing over some of his archers there, probably to try and kill some of those moving Roman infantry there. But those archers are a little bit exposed, I think, even though he's got his Macedon cavalry close by. As you say here, JGP and Legion are both moving towards Sparky's army. Meanwhile, over here on our right flank here, you can see that Uther looks to me like he's aggressively moving towards Lee's Julia army there. So I would say, personally, looking at things I would think things are going to kick off here on the right flank. Be interesting to see what happens there. Just want to draw your attention to two little seen units on the 31k battlefield. Can you see that Dove Father here has bought war dogs? Now, you don't often see war dogs on the modern 31k battlefield, but I think he had some money left after he built his army, and it was enough money to be able to bring some war dogs. So as I say, you don't usually see war dogs on the 31k battlefield. Very unusual. Okay, let's see what happens next. Okay, so say you can see our Macedon ally and our SBQR ally moving towards Sparky here, trying to cut him off from his allies, trying to isolate him and then attack him full out to try and take out his army. Sparky's doing the right thing though. He's tactically withdrawing his army away from that. He doesn't want to fight them. And over on our right flank here, as I say, you can see that Uther's moving his Brutite army really aggressively towards Lee's Julia army here. As you can see, Uther's charging his cavalry in, and bang, as that cavalry hits into that into those Julia archers there. And the problem is that if Sparky's army, which was quite close, brings cavalry over. Let's just pause the game for a second. Okay, so you can see Uther's Brutite cavalry charging into Lee's archers and cavalry there. My guess is Lee's probably put his archers on alt attack, so they'll attack that cavalry. But also, can you see Sparky is bringing his 6 cavalry over as well. So Uther's not only fighting Lee's cavalry and archers, he's going to have Sparky's 6 cavalry charging as well. So that's a lot of cavalry. As I say here, Lee's got his archers on alt attack. You can see they've got their small daggers out there fighting Uther's cavalry. But with the arrival of Sparky's cavalry, that could cause a bit of a mass rout there. Also, if you notice that Lee here has moved his infantry over, maybe looking to do a flanking action on Uther's army there. So as I say, it's all aggression here on this right flank. As I said here, you can see that both our Macedon general and our SPQR general are trying to attack him, Sparky's army here. But Sparky is doing the right thing and withdrawing his army. But I was just, I know when I was watching this, I was just thinking to myself, imagine if Legion had his archers just behind his infantry there in close formation. Can you imagine the damage that those well upgraded archers would be doing to this Julia army, shooting into the back, the weakest part of that Julia army there? Could cause massive casualties to that particular army there if those archers were just stood behind that Macedon infantry. So that would have done a lot of damage to that Julia force. As you can see, I'm still moving my army and cavalry over towards the woods to join my allies. and both the Julii and Scipio army are still moving towards me. But as I say, the major concern here is Sparky's cavalry going to charge into Uther's cavalry here that is already engaged with Lee's cavalry and alt attack archers here. As you can see, unfortunately, a lot of this battle was actually fought in the woods here, which is difficult to film. If I close in, I usually catch foliage from the trees, so it's a little bit difficult to get the filming in there. But as you can see, Sparky's cavalry charged into Uther's there and routed a couple of Uther's units. But Uther pulled the majority of his cavalry back there, so that was a good move by Uther there. But as I say, that was a combined cavalry attack there of Lee and Sparky on Uther's cavalry. As you can see here, Scorpion King's Julii and Doe Father's Scipii troops are moving in towards us here. Let's say I've managed to, because as I say I set so far back, I've managed to get my army over towards my allies now without being intercepted by the enemy. Okay, can you see our Macedon ally moving towards Sparky's army there now? Our Macedon ally will be suffering loads of pilot damage there. My guess is that Sparky just put his Urbans on auto fire and they would have really pelted our Macedon ally with pilots there. You can see JGP is bringing his SPQR army across. Once again, Sparky is withdrawing, refusing to fight, which is the best tactical decision there. Okay, can you see my army here? Let's pause again for a second. My small 12-man unit army here is now facing all of Doe Father's 16 infantry and Scorpion King's Julia army there. So just manage, if I can just manage to hold them up maybe when my allies attack, it might help there. As you can see, Uther's charges cavalry in again, being very aggressive. Lots of pilot exchanging going on. Just like to show you, did you know that these pilers in real life were designed to break at that point there as they stick into the shields of enemy, into the enemy shields, and then of course the shield then becomes useless to the enemy, and the enemy just usually just drops the shield, therefore losing their protection. So I don't know if new players for RTW knew that that's what those pilers were designed to do by the crafty Romans. Okay, can you see here that Lee has really got his archers in close formation and is really putting some impact arrows into Uther's cavalry there. But as I say, Uther's being extremely aggressive here on this right flank against Lee's army. Let's say, remember in RTW, if you're aggressive, if you attack, then the enemy can only react to you and they kind of dance to your tune. So it's nice to see Uther being so aggressive. Remember, he's got those 8 upgraded ups on his cavalry. So let's say here, I'm moving my army back in towards Uther's army here, and I am potentially facing 2 armies at this stage. Okay, let's just pause again for a second. Now what I've noticed here, can you see those archers, those Macedon archers of legions there? If you notice, there's a gap between Legion's army and my own where the archers are, and you can guarantee that Scorpion King with all his years of experience has spotted that and will probably charge his cavalry in to try and take out those very expensive archers. Meanwhile over here you can see that both Legion and JGP are closing in on Sparky's army, but you can see Sparky is kind of being allowed to withdraw his army and link up with Lee. Now if he links up with Lee, then that's 2 enemy armies together side by side, and they just have to wait kind of for their allies to press in with their armies. So it'll be interesting to see what happens there. Let's say it looks to me like Spark is going to link up with Lee, and then they've got their combined armies there to face our troops. Let's say nice tactical withdrawal there by Sparky. He's not going to stand there and take 2 armies where he's probably going to be beaten. He's tactically withdrawing, and he's managed to tactically withdraw to his ally Lee. As we said earlier, you can see that Scorpion King has banged his cavalry in there into those expensive Cretan archers, and looks like he's going to take them out. So remember, those archers were worth 6,200 denarii. So it's always painful when you see expensive units getting taken out there. You can see those 16 infantry units of Doe Father is attacking my 12 unit infantry here, and you can see there is literally pilers raining in onto my pilot shield units there. So that's a heck of a lot. Remember what we said, those 16 infantry units equates to 3,936 pilots there. So that's a heck of a lot of pilots there, potentially killing a lot of our troops. Right, if you notice, I'm pulling my infantry further back towards Uther's infantry. Let's just pause the game for a second. Okay, so we've got Sparky's army is now linked up with Lee, and Sparky's got his cavalry in a very dangerous position in a charge into the flank of Uther's army. Right, just like to draw your attention here, can you see that JGP has charged his cavalry into Lee's cavalry here? Okay, but Lee is also turning infantry into attack, and also Scorpion King's cavalry is coming across as well. And this could be really bad for JGP's cavalry, because he's getting hit by infantry, cavalry, and then Scorpion King's cavalry charging as well. As I say, because a lot of this fighting was in this part of the woods, it's a bit difficult for me to be able to get the filming in, because the foliage from the trees kind of stop it. But as you can see here, JGP's cavalry has just been kind of taken out there by that combined cavalry hit there. But if you notice, I'm charging my cavalry in, and Uther's charging his cavalry in as well there, and bang, as that cavalry hits into that Julii infantry and archers there. Alright, let's just pause the game here. So we're trying to take out Lee's army. If you notice, I've brought my SBQR units back. I'm going to leave the front battle line to face the enemy, but I'm going to use the rear units of my formation to charge in to help and try and finish off that Julii infantry. Meanwhile, here can you see that Sparky with all his infantry and cavalry is in an extremely dangerous position there on that right flank. Uther's moved some infantry over there to try and neutralise that attack, but that's a big force there. As I say, you can see Doefather's infantry will probably be moving in there. Okay, now at this stage of the battle, this battle goes into two separate battles. Our Macedon ally here is facing Scorpion King's Julii units there, and while the rest of the armies from both teams are kind of fighting over in this part of the battlefield. You can see that JGP is moving his infantry forward towards Sparky's army. And as I say, I've moved my SBQR troops back so I can use the rear units of my formation to charge into that Julii infantry there. Right, and as you can see here, I think we've taken out most of Lee's army. Most of Lee's Julii army has now been taken out. But as you can see here, Sparky is moving in here, attacking Uther's units. And as I say, you've got those 16 units of Doefather's Scipio units moving in on us as well. So as you can see, I think our teamlet's in a pretty precarious position, because we're kind of sandwiched between the massive infantry of the Scipii enemy army and Sparky's Julii infantry and cavalry. If you notice, we're kind of like the sandwich between the two pieces of bread here, and you can see Sparky charging his cavalry, and bang, as that cavalry goes into Uther's infantry there, and he goes on through to attack the rear of one of my units there. So as I say here, Doefather looks like he may well take those units he's got there round in behind us, so that could be pretty bad for our team. As you can see, there's a lot of pressure on our army from both sides here, as we're trying to hold against two armies there, one coming in from the right and one coming in from the left. As I said earlier, filming it within the woods is a bit difficult, just trying to get everything I can here. Right, you can see I'm taking my cavalry back. I've charged through that enemy infantry. I wanted to chase down any routers there to make sure they're not going to come back. But as you can see here, Legion's attacking with his pikemen, but with that enemy cavalry out there, he must be careful of his flanks and rear. Remember, the weakest part of any unit on RTW is the flank and rear. And Mastodon's morale's not very good either, so if it gets hit by that cavalry, it could start a mass rout, so he must be careful there. But he will know that, because as we know, he's very good with Mastodon. Okay, can you see that Uther's green Brutio troops are kind of sandwiched even worse than the rest of us there, because he's sandwiched between blue Scipii and the red Julii there. As you can see here, Sparky being really aggressive, charging into the rear of my battle formation there with his cavalry, trying to cause a lot of casualties. If you notice that Uther's doing the best with his infantry that he can, trying to neutralise that Julii attack. But as I say, he's got that Scipii infantry in behind him as well, so he's really sandwiched there. And as you can see, if you look at the amount of red troops, enemy red troops in that position, you can see how precarious our position is at the moment. Right, you see, I'm charging my cavalry into the Julii infantry there, and bang, as that cavalry hits. Being very aggressive with my cavalry, wanting to cause as many casualties to that Julii army as I can. If you notice that JGP's advancing with his infantry as well. So we've got a combined my cavalry and JGP's infantry hitting Sparky's forces there. And also you've got Uther's green Brutio troops in there as well. I'm advancing with some of my infantry units as well. We're going to try and take out Sparky's army. If we can do that, that would be really great for our team. Okay, let's just pause again for a second to take stock of exactly what's happening here. So as you can see here, there's the war dogs charging in. As I say, you don't see them very often after JGP's cavalry unit. But as you see, the enemy are the red here in this particular part of the battlefield, the red Julii. Remember, we are the purple and the green, and Macedon. Over here on the right, where Legion is fighting with Scorpion King here, he's lost a lot of troops there through pilot hits and arrow hits as well. Remember, Macedon, the big 120-man units are extremely susceptible to missile fire from pilots and archers. And we must remember that Scorpion King's got his archers in close formation, which really helps with the impact of arrows there when they're so close. And he's going to be firing those fire arrows into our troops all the time. Remember, causing casualties and spreading panic with fire arrows there. But anyway, back to this part of the battlefield. So what we're trying to do is take out Sparky's army here with our forces. As you can see, JGP being very aggressive with his infantry. I've got my cavalry in there charging him. And if we can just take out Sparky's army, it'd make a big difference, I think, to maybe the outcome of the battle here. If you notice, I'm throwing my infantry in as well, being very aggressive. I pulled my cavalry back. Like we said in other battle videos, I've pulled the hammer back on the rifle. Right, if you notice here, can you see that Legion's charging his Macedon cavalry in? I've pulled the trigger on my cavalry and they're charging in. As the Macedon cavalry hits that enemy Julii, and bang, as that cavalry goes in. And then my SBQR cavalry hitting it from the flank, and bang, as that cavalry goes in as well. And you can see most of that Julii army is now starting to rout. And we've now taken out what we wanted to take out, which is Sparky's army. Okay, let's pause the game for a second. So now, through our massively aggressive attacks here, we have now taken out Sparky's Julii army and Lee's army as well. So that's Sparky's and Lee's army we've managed to take out at this stage of the battle. But as you can see, we've barely touched the 16 infantry units of Doughfather, and he's moving in from several different angles here to attack us. We might be a little bit blobbed there at the moment. Okay, over here on the right flank, can you see that Scorpion King's put his cavalry into wedge formation for really better penetration? And you can see that he's ready to attack. Legion pikemen here are showing their rear and flank to that cavalry, and that could be really dangerous for his pikemen there. So over here on this right flank, it doesn't look very good from what I can see there for our Macedon ally against the Julii army there. But over here, a bit better news there. As I say, we've taken out 2 of the enemy armies, as in Lee and Sparky's. But as I say, Doughfather's army is still advancing on us here with those 16 infantry units. As I say, as we said before, those 16 infantry units, a heck of a lot of pilots there. Right, if you notice, he's running across, being very aggressive. You notice I've set my infantry formation back out again after attacking that enemy Julii infantry there. And if you notice now, can you see how he's trying to actually surge forward, trying to make the most of his numbers there in one particular part of my formation, trying to force his troops through. As I say, trying to surge his troops through my formation there. Very aggressive attack there with that, with those troops there. Can you see where? But if you notice there, can you see his general has got a bit isolated? The Scipio general is a bit isolated there from his main army. So that's probably why he's trying to surge his troops forward through our formation to try and help his general there. As I say, that's a heck of a lot of Scipio infantry trying to push through our formation to get to his general. Let's just pause the game for a second to take stock of exactly what's happening here. So to say, he's bringing in all his infantry now, so we're up against all those Scipio infantry at this moment. Remember, we've been in battle for a long time, so we're all going to be exhausted and tired. If you notice, Scorpion King's brought his archers across here. Now, Scorpion King is an absolute expert with archers. You know exactly where to start using fire arrows. As you can see, he's already using fire arrows there. Meanwhile, over here on our Macedon flank, if you like, can you see things are not looking very good? If you notice that Legion's got most of his units engaged with Julii infantry, he's got some of his cavalry there, but I'm just thinking to myself, if that Julii cavalry gets in behind and charges into the back of those Macedon units, we could have a mass rout of Macedon pikemen there. So I'm a little bit worried at this part of the battlefield. There's that Julii cavalry. If it decides to charge into the back of the Macedon infantry, and bang, as it charges in, my thoughts are it could lead to a mass rout here of Macedon. Remember, Macedon has not got very good morale anyway, and if that general unit routs, if the general gets killed, then I feel that all that Macedon infantry is going to mass rout. Can you see Legion charging his cavalry in there, trying to hit the rear of those Julii cavalry there? Right, okay, so our Macedon general has now been killed, and basically all the Macedon units infantry now has been taken out. There might be one unit left there, but my guess is that will rout really quickly. So Scorpion King has won over there against some Macedon units there. But over here, if we can take out this mass of Scipii infantry, if we can take out Dofather's army there, then we could be doing really well. Do you notice how Scorpion King is shooting fire arrows into us? But remember, if those fire arrows, any of those fire arrows fall short, they'll fall onto the rear of his allies' infantry. And that will cause casualties to them, but also it will put a fear factor on them as well. So remember, whenever you shoot fire arrows over your allies, you can affect your own troops' morale as well, because some of those fire arrows will fall short and will cause panic in your allies' ranks. Right, can you see Legion's bringing his cavalry, and bang, as that cavalry hits there. He knows his infantry have gone, but he's going to use the cavalry that he's got as best he can there. Took out 3 Scipio units there with that cavalry hit. Nice hit there, Legion. As you can see here, JGP's taking his infantry round tactically round to the flank and rear of the attacking blue Scipii army. Nice tactical move there by JGP, moving his infantry round there. Now remember, Scorpion King's won over on that kind of Macedon flank, and he may well be bringing his infantry over here to start attacking our troops, or he may well form up separately, knowing that maybe Dofather's infantry here looks like it's going to be taken out. Right, can you see Legion charging his cavalry in again, and bang, as that cavalry goes in, more Scipio units starting to rout here. So remember that Dofather started off with 16 infantry units. And now if you look at how many infantry units he's got left, you can see I think our team's done incredibly well. We've basically taken out, let's just pause the game for a second. Okay, we've basically taken out 3 enemy armies now. We've taken out Dofather's Scipii army, Lee's Julii army, and I think there might be 1 unit of Lee's left, and Sparka's Julii army. But it has come at a cost. Uther's only got 3 really extremely battle damaged units left. A lot of my infantry units are very battle damaged as well, and of course we've lost all our Macedon infantry. Luckily I think JGP's got quite big numbers left in his units there. So as I say, we have managed to take out 3 enemy armies, but it has come at a cost. As you can see here, Scorpion King's bringing his Julii infantry across there. My guess is he's going to form up separately away from any other enemy infantry units, which is only Dofather's only got 1 unit left anyway now, and that's probably going to get taken out pretty quick. As you can see there, can you see that Dofather's unit just panicked by fire attack there? So can you see that Scorpion King's archers there have dropped fire arrows onto the rear of that his allies' Scipio units there, causing panic and making it more susceptible to routing. Okay, I think we've just routed the last of Lee's units there. So as I say, we've taken out most of the enemy team. We're going to move on to, I think, phase 2 of the battle now. Okay, can you see that Scorpion King still got cavalry left? Now, we've got a few extremely battle damaged Mastodon cavalry left, but by and large we've lost all our cavalry. Now, whether that cavalry will prove pivotal to the outcome of the battle, we will just have to wait and see. Right, if you notice here, can you see that Legion, knowing how dangerous all those archers are to our infantry, has charged in with 2 of his cavalry units to try and take out as many of those archers as he can. Because, make no mistake, these archers in close formation using fire arrows could be a deciding factor on this battle. In this battle, and Legion knows this, so he's going to charge his cavalry over. My guess is it's kind of like sacrificing these 2 cavalry units, because he knows how dangerous these archers will be towards the end of the battle. Now, if you notice here, the archers are on alt attack. They've got their small daggers out to try and fight. Now, Legion knows that the enemy Julii cavalry are coming. He could back his own cavalry off, but he's not. He's going to stand there and try and kill as many archers as he can with those cavalry units to try and help the team. See, this unit here is still fighting. He knows there's Julii cavalry there that have just killed his other unit, but he's still going to try and kill as many archer units as he can. He kind of took one for the team there, if you like, trying to do the best he can to take out as many archers as he could. So nice play there by Legion, nice bit of teamwork. Okay, so there's still a lot of enemy archers left. That Scorpion King, we know we've got no cavalry, and he will put them in close formation and use them very effectively. If you notice here, do you remember we looked at Scorpion King's army, all very well upgraded infantry? Okay, here's my infantry, what I've got left. You see I've got 13 men in that unit, 11 men in that unit, 2 men in that unit, bit more there, 55, 40, but in general my units are extremely battle damaged there, and Uther's only got 19 men in his general unit and 5 men in that unit. He's only got 2 units left there. 2 units left. But JGP, can you see he's got 73, 62, 38, 61. He's got a lot of men left in his infantry units. Now that could prove really pivotal to the outcome of the battle, maybe. We'll just have to wait and see. But you can see how intense the fighting is, looking at all the dead on the battlefield here. And as I say, we're moving into phase 2 of the battle now. It'll be interesting to see how go. If you notice that all the troops are either very tired or exhausted on both teams. So there's no advantage. There's no one with fresh troops, no one with better troops than anybody else, except that Scorpion King here has got well upgraded infantry. Remember, that general unit of his is fully upgraded. And you see here, he's going to mass his archers now. As I say, he's an expert with archers, is our Scorpion King. And my guess is that he's going to, as I say, mass those archers in close formation and then use them extremely tactically on our infantry. He knows we've got no cavalry, so he's got nothing to worry about with cavalry hitting his archers. And it kind of gives him a lot of leeway with his archers there. Right, can you notice here over on our left flank now, can you see that the Julii infantry and cavalry are attacking? Nice aggressive move there by Scorpion King. You might have thought you might go passive and defensive, seeing that the army is ranged against him, but he's not. He's being aggressive, attacking with his cavalry there. Routed 2 of JGP's units there, and if he gets in behind those engaged SPQR troops there, he will charge in with that cavalry and can cause some major damage. And that cavalry charging in, and bang, as that cavalry hits. But JGP was expecting that. He was facing that attack there. He's charging in infantry units there to neutralise that cavalry. Let's just pause the game for a second here. So as you can see here, remember we are the purple and the green. Okay, the enemy are the red here. Okay, so if you just glance at the battle here, you can see, now remember these archers we were talking about here shooting fire arrows. Remember those archers have got 7 upgrades on, experience, stripe, gold shield, gold attack. And they're shooting fire arrows into the rear of our moving troops. So not only are they targeting the weakest part of our units, remember when your units move, they are extremely susceptible to archer damage even more. So if you notice, there's a massive swathe of arrows going into the rear of our units there. It wouldn't surprise me if a volley of fire arrows hit the rear of my fighting infantry, if that caused not just casualties, but routed units. There you go. See, that was just the impact of fire arrows have routed that infantry unit of mine and one of Uther's as well. That's the effectiveness of fire arrows on the rear of units. Right, let's just pause the game here. If you notice here, I've got one unit attacking one of Scorpion King's units here, but I'm sending a unit over, an infantry unit over to archers. Now what I could really do with is cavalry, but as we haven't got any cavalry, I'm sending infantry over. Okay, so just remember, we are the purple SPQR and the green Brutii, and the enemy are the red Julii. So just at a glance here, you can see exactly what's going on. Now Scorpion King's still got 3 cavalry units yet left. Yes, they're battle damaged, but could they prove crucial to the outcome of this battle? Remember, his general fully upgraded, 9 upgrades, 3 experience stripes, gold shield, gold attack. Could that prove pivotal towards the end of the battle when it gets down to the scrapping of the last few units? As you can see here, he's got his red eagle unit and an urban unit fighting side by side here, and we're trying to attack that. I remember I think Uther said let's take out that eagle unit to cut down on morale for his troops. Okay, can you see? I'm moving my infantry unit over there to try and take out as many archer units as I can. Now my guess is that Scorpion King will have those archers on stand ground, so they won't take the skirmish mode off, so they'll stand there and fight, they won't run. But as you can see the dead, burnt bodies of my general units there, where they were targeted by those archers. Okay, so if you notice here, I'm attacking 2 or 3 of those archer units there. As I say, he will alt attack there, but if you notice that 2 of his archer units are still shooting fire arrows into our units. He looks to me like he's trying to target the rear of my general unit there, which is actually engaged. So I mean, if he targets the back of my general unit there, he could cause that unit to rout, and of course I would then lose my general and the morale bonus that I would be getting from that. Okay, over here you can see JGP seems to be quite good with numbers here against those couple of Julii units. But if you notice, can you see the red Julii cavalry units coming in? And bang, as those Julii units come in there. But luckily it didn't rout any of JGP's infantry, because he saw them coming and turned his infantry to face those units. So it was a nice, as I say, nice battlefield awareness there by JGP, seeing that cavalry come in, being ready for them and sending them packing there and routing one unit as well. Okay, my general has just been routed there. Okay, so I've lost my general morale bonus. Right, if you notice here, Macedon unit, battle damaged Macedon unit against a battle damaged Julii unit here. Can you see them both using their swords? They've both been alt attacked, so they're using their heavy swords instead of their light lances. Okay, let's just pause the game for a second. Now remember, once again, we are the purple, the enemy are the red. As you can see here, Uther's green unit there is fighting, trying to kill that eagle unit. I've got 2 of my SPQR units trying to kill the eagle unit and that other unit there. As you can see, I've got one of my units here fighting one of Scorpion King's units there. And if you notice now, I'm chasing this archer unit with my infantry unit there. Now I've got to make a decision. Do I carry on killing the archers, or does that infantry unit need to be brought over to the main battle fray here? But remembering how much damage those fire arrows were doing to our units there, maybe I was doing the right thing in trying to take as many of those archers out as I could. Right, unfortunately for us, can you see a lot of our SPQR units, allies SPQR units, are starting to rout and leaving the battlefield here. Hopefully, because I can see they're quite large numbers, they may well rally and come back, but at this stage of the battle things are not looking very good, I think, for our team here. Right, we've managed to get rid of that one urban unit there. What we want to do now is try and kill that eagle unit there. Stop giving them any morale. Remember, that eagle unit is giving morale to those Julii troops, so if we can take that out, that'd be a big help to us. Right, if you notice that unit that I sent over to try and take out as many archers as I could, I've decided to bring back to the main fray here to help with the infantry against infantry. Can you notice here, those archers are moving forward there to keep getting us in range. Okay, now we've done what we wanted to do. We've routed the Julii Eagle unit there. I see that there's a battle damaged Julii unit coming over here to attack, which we've responded to. I've now attacked that unit. But as you can see, all the troops on the battlefield are exhausted now. Okay, so we've managed to take that Julii unit out. This battle, make no mistake, is going right down to the wire. Okay, can you see that Scorpion King has marshalled some of his battle damaged units at the top of the battlefield here. And we're going to run over to try and help. It wouldn't surprise me if maybe JGP put his units into Testudo, waiting for us to come over to help him. As you can see, I'm running two very exhausted units up towards him. He's got his general unit and an infantry unit here trying to neutralise another Julii unit there. But if you notice, Uther, myself are running up to help JGP. As we said here, JGP's put those two units into Testudo. Nice move there. He knows that he can hold longer in Testudo. There's a cavalry unit going into the back, and bang, as that cavalry unit hits. Because he's in Testudo, he should be able to hold longer there. Okay, so now what we're going to try and do, we want to obviously try and take out the Julii general. If you could take out the general so he's not giving morale bonus to his troops, then that could well cause a mass rout of his troops. But remember, like we said earlier, this Julii general is fully upgraded. There's a cavalry unit going in and bang, goes in, routs. Now that was unfortunate there because JGP's unit was attacking the rear of that unit, the weakest point of that general unit, and that unit has now been routed. So we are now trying to fight a fully upgraded urban cohort general here. We're being shot in the rear by fire arrows as well. There's more Julii infantry coming in behind us as well there. See, JGP spotted that, but those fire arrows are actually taking morale away from our troops. As I say, we're desperately trying to kill that Julii general. And you can see those combination of fire arrows and fighting a fully upgraded unit there has caused those units there to rout, and there's only one of our units left now fighting. But at this stage of the battle, I'd just like to show you some parts of the battlefield where you can see are so intense. Remember, this is where the battle kicked off here. You can see how intense the fighting was by the piles of dead that are on the battlefield. Remember that big cavalry, massive cavalry attack right in the centre there. Then we move over to where the Macedon army was taken out after fighting bravely with those Julii troops. But I just wanted to show you how effective fire arrows can be and how effective archers can be. Very often on the 31k battlefield people don't bring archers. Well, in this battle I think that they proved pivotal to the outcome of the battle. Those fire arrows were actually drawing morale out of our troops there. Very well used there by Scorpion King. And as you can see, we've got one of our units still fighting there. One of JGP's units still fighting bravely. He's not going to surrender. He's going to carry on fighting with that unit there. But if you look at the units that are left on the battlefield, you can see that Scorpion King's very battle damaged units are left there. And it just bears testament to how intense the fighting was. I thought in the earlier stage of the battle where we took out 3 enemy armies, things were looking pretty good for us here. But it proved not there. And there's that cavalry hits, bang, there you go. And that's the last of our units, armies now, has now been taken out. So, well done to the enemy team there. Okay, the first thing I'd like to say is really, really well played to everybody in the game there. As you can see, it was a very close defeat, and I love these close battles. One of the closest battles I've been in for a while now, and let's say it was. I hope you found it exciting as well. Just like to draw your attention to Scorpion King's kills, 2,379. Now, new players to RTW. When you attack big 120 man units, it really can pump up your kills there. As you can see, 2,379. So really well done to Scorpion King there. Really well played. The other thing I'd like to draw new players' attention to, can you see who's got the smallest army on the battlefield? And that's myself. But can you see that I got the second highest kills, and I'm just fighting ordinary Roman 81 man units, 1,735. Now that's not bad kills for a small army of only 1,309 men. So just to say, maybe it's not the size of the army that you bring, but it's the way you use it and your army build. Most of that infantry had an experience stripe on, and that managed to help to get all those kills from my team there. Just like to draw your attention, can you see that JGP and Uther have got higher kills than any of the other 3 in the enemy team there, just to go to show how close this was. And if you notice that Legion and Sparky. There's only 20 kills difference in those kills as well. So you can see how really close this battle was by just looking at the kills there. But once again, really well done to Scorpion King. So I'd like to say really well done to Lee, Titan, Sparky and Wolves, Doefather and Scorpion King. Really well played, guys. That was an excellent battle. Really well done. And really well done to JGP, Legion and Uther. Well played, guys. We gave it everything we could there, and I thought it was a great close battle. And as I say, this is our 300th Rome Total War Brotherhood game that we've put onto YouTube, and I hope this battle was a memorable one. I thought it was intense, exciting and above all really close. This is Spartan Commander saying look forward to seeing you soon, and bye for now.